It's another day, which means there's another thing that people are mad about, and there's also another thing for people to be wrong about. Helldivers 2, which has released on PC and PS5 to massive success, way more than the developers anticipated, is now under fire from the people who aren't busy enjoying it, and there is a lot of, as usual, misinformation going around. It's really like people just have a tough time being happy. But we have to talk about things regarding pay-to-win allegations and the fact that the game is monetized despite being a not full price, a $40 recommended retail price game. We have to talk about anti-cheat and how some people are deciding to boycott this game because of the anti-cheat, as well as some of the other issues that the game has been going through. We're also going to talk about the incredibly transparent CEO of Arrowhead Games, showing off how these developers definitely deserve the success they are getting. But obviously, there's a lot to talk about. If for some reason you're clicking on this video and you're one of the people who are furious, I beg of you, keep an open mind as I explain things. Thank you. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, remember to like the video. Let's jump into all of the news. Now, in case you haven't tried Helldivers 2, because it has been a very big success, and it seems to be growing as time goes on, but it isn't the type of success we saw with something like Palworld, I strongly recommend you go play Helldivers 2. It's a great game. But people cannot be happy with this. Despite the game now joining my list of sequels that transition to third person and become amazing despite all odds, and now there's 2 games on that list, I guess. Shoutouts to Risk of Rain. The massive success of Helldivers 2 has brought some problems. Some of them understandable, that I think we should be lenient on, but still definitely something that as a consumer, you should complain about. And then some others that make absolutely no sense. So, let's go in order. The first one I've seen very often is pay to win. A lot of people are very angry that this game, which was announced to be a live service game, has further monetization after you pay for the game. However, I think that a lot of people are just logging into the game or seeing that there is a season pass and getting very angry. So firstly, it's very important to clarify that live service games are not the devil. And this is coming from a person who I think is fairly recognized as being somebody who strongly criticizes a lot of live service game models. But at the end of the day, they are just a tool. They can be done well and they can be done very poorly. Sometimes they are incredibly predatory and they use everything at their disposal to make you feel FOMO and want to spend money and hate the game despite being addicted to it. And other times they are just a vehicle for a game to continue growing while giving its player base something to consistently play. Just because something is a live service game doesn't make it bad. It comes with a whole host of negatives like game preservation, for example, but it doesn't automatically mean, oh, live service equal bad game. And it's a video that I've been writing for like months because it's a difficult topic to broach, but just to summarize it, I don't understand how people can like something a lot and then people tell them, hey, you're going to get more of this. And they're like, oh, I wish it just stopped there. It's weird to me. I guess it's because we associate that because there will be more, there will also be more things that we have to spend money on, which is not true, and is definitely not true for Helldivers 2. The Season Pass in Helldivers 2 is not only free, and is not only permanent, so it's not really a Season Pass, it's a war bond, I guess. That's how they call it, right? Much like Halo Infinite did, this Season Pass will always be here. But it's a designed and intended method of progression through the game. A lot of important features of the game are in the Season Pass, and one of the first things that the game does is tell you, this Season Pass will be here forever. All of the items in this, you can access it in the future if you buy the game in a year when there's a ton of other new Season Passes available, but for some reason, one of the weapons available in the first one is still the coolest and strongest, you can go unlock it. You just have to play the game. There is no super secret advantage here. It's just there. So there are multiple progression methods in the game. A lot of it is playing missions and obtaining side objectives, which are the samples, to unlock some abilities. And another part is some of your equipment, which is behind that season pass unlockable method. Now, is there an additional store? Yes. Does that store contain items that give you advantages for money? Well, no, not right now, but it could. And that is something we should worry about, but not right now. I find it very unfair to criticize a game for potentially doing something. It's important to call it out. It's important to say, yes, this could happen down the road. And if that's something that just bothers you straight up, then yes, stay away. But it hasn't happened. There's no guarantee that it ever will happen. The store, at least for now, sells armor, and the armor does come with passive benefits, and some of the armor you can obtain with money has different benefits than the one that you can obtain for free. But that also comes with a big asterisk, because that free season pass contains 800, I believe, of the super credits, which is the premium currency. Not only that, but by playing the game, you can obtain in missions this premium currency. I have 600 premium credits, and I have unlocked 300 from the battle pass. So I've just obtained 300 super credits by playing the game for about 15 to 16 hours. So this is going to be a question of balance. As long as you can always find the passive gameplay benefits that you want in things that are comfortably and easily available to you, it's not going to be pay to win. It's going to be pay to cosmetic with your choice of ability. But some people will then say there's a premium battle pass for 1,000 super credits, which is $10. Yes, and some of the stuff in there is cool, not really the coolest. And yes, that premium battle pass contains 3 weapons, but those weapons are variants of ones you can obtain for free. And between you and me, they're pretty worse. They're a lot worse than the ones you can get. There's things like the incendiary breaker. I don't have the premium battle pass, but I've picked up these weapons from other divers that after they unfortunately get split in half by a bile titan, they drop their stuff, and I'm just like, well, now your fire shotgun is mine, and it's not that good. It's not as good as the normal shotgun. The explosive liberator, not as good as the normal liberator. They're just different, which is fun. It's fun, which is really when I make my big analysis of Helldivers 2. That is coming, fast and furious, I promise. It's a game that really incentivizes having fun and doing whatever you want because it's fun. So it's nice that these things exist, but it's not pay to win. It's pay extra to have fun. Is that bad? I mean, yes, but also, to be completely honest, if you completed the free battle pass and didn't have enough to pay for the premium battle pass, you were not playing the game right, because you did 0 side objectives, you did not explore the map in the probably 50 to 60 hours it takes to complete this battle pass. You didn't do anything, because if you did, you would get to 1,000 super credits. So yeah, they're charging you if you want to go ahead and spend money on doing this easier and faster, but they're not locking anything that is stronger behind a paywall. It's very funny to me, and I don't want this to be an excuse. Just because somebody does something worse doesn't mean that something cannot be bad in a vacuum. But at the same time that we have Diablo 4 charging people $30 for colors on their transportation portals, Helldivers 2 is asking for $0, but if you want to spend $10 to get there faster for a ton of little cosmetic doodads and some different worse versions of weapons in the game, people are like, this game deserves to be cancelled. They're not selling you power. There's no way to pay money to get extra abilities or extra stratagems or speed up the progression of that. Could they do that one day? For sure. Yeah, they of course could. And in that case, then we should be outraged, but not right now. The second part that has made people very angry is anti-cheat. Why is there anti-cheat in a game that is cooperative? There's no PvP. Well, the reasons that the developers give is that it is a live service game. It is online. Part of how the game works, the progression in the game, what missions are available, what you do is directly tied to what everybody has done. So you have to be online to play the game. There are, of course, progression systems, and they say they don't want people to skip through it. Not only do they not want people to skip through it, but theoretically, with the right cheats, you could alter the way that the game plays, because as I said, everybody progresses through the planets that you have to go to and liberate all together. So if a bunch of people started cheating and just auto-liberating planets, that could be a big problem on how the game progresses and the content plans and things like that. It's also very true that if you cheated a lot, since you can earn premium currency in the game, you could earn like a lot of it, or hack that in some way into your account, probably. Who knows what could happen? Because there is a way to obtain it, I'm sure people would find a way to give it to themselves or obtain it en masse, and I'm sure they don't want people gaming their monetization system. And this is a complicated thing, but while there are definitely some reasons that could be more economically incentivized for utilizing an anti-cheat, I do at a personal level like the idea that cheaters would be held under control. I don't have what people call friends. Okay, I have some, but my friends don't really game that much, so I play with randoms a lot. It would be pretty sad to me if I just jumped into a mission and suddenly, boom, the mission was automatically cleared. Somebody just nuclear striked every single enemy. The mission was done, extraction was here, and something happened. Or if I started to see people teleporting around the map, killing everything and obtaining everything, that would kind of make the game less cool to me. What do you mean? You get free progression. That's not why you should be playing video games. You should be playing video games because they're fun, not to get the invisible gamer points. But why is that anti-cheat such a big deal? Because anti-cheats work at a kernel level, which sounds really cool, and also if you pronounce it that way, kind of sounds like a military rank. But listen to me here closely, divers. That means that anti-cheat has very extensive permissions on your PC. To put it in simple terms, they have higher privileges than administrator privileges. They can kind of do whatever they want on your PC. This is not just the case with anti-cheat, this is also the case with things like DRM, and this is a very big topic. However, claiming that the anti-cheat a game uses is spyware used to sell your data, or just outright calling it a trojan to confuse people and make it think that a paid-for video game is installing a virus on your computer is very disingenuous and just a petty way of trying to hate on something. Mostly the part that makes me angry is the amount of hypocrisy going on. This is something that also happened with Capcom and the mod debacle. I'm not going to cover that again, but a lot of stuff that you allow on your PC has that access level, and you will let it in without much issue. What really determines if something is spyware or is dangerous or not is where it's coming from and how much you trust the people who made it. Think of it this way, especially some years back before every single bank had two-factor authorization, you used to give your credit card information without any need for additional verification in your spending to a ton of websites online. Even if you think they're super reputable like Amazon, you were still giving the details of your credit card or your bank account to a ton of people on the internet. And just like you made a purchase, somebody else can just take that information, go somewhere, and boom, use it, and your money's gone. But you didn't feel unsafe. But eventually you were like, well, these people have never done anything with my bank information that isn't letting me spend money on the platform. It hasn't ended up with something negative against me. Why would I not trust them? And that is my exact same philosophy when talking about Helldivers 2 and the fact that this is an established company, that this is published by PlayStation, that they have been very transparent in how they are ensuring and the anti-cheat system comply with all of the data privacy laws that they have to comply with to give them access just as much as you give anything else access, like Riot Vanguard if you play Valorant, or so many other anti-cheat systems that function at the same level for a ton of games you play. Now look, this is a very complicated topic, as I mentioned. Generally speaking, I do not like the idea, I don't think anybody does, about giving access to all of the sensitive information in your PC, to allowing these programs to do things like log your keys or record your screen or have access to pretty much every file on your PC. Nobody likes that. But we also don't like things like cheaters. So this is why a lot of people put up with this sort of stuff in highly competitive games. And I understand that Helldivers 2 is not a highly competitive game, so this seems like an extreme way of dealing with a very small potential problem. And I would agree. I would prefer some other sort of anti-cheat. But the part that really irks me is the hypocrisy. If you're a person that is against any sort of DRM or anti-cheat that has this sort of access, that functions this way, and you are complaining about it in Helldivers 2, go ahead. But I know a lot of people that have been talking about how Unprotect in this game is bad, also have no issue constantly playing or making content on games that use the same type of anti-cheat, and they will try and defend themselves with things like, well, my problem is with Unprotect specifically because they're Asian and they're cheaper, which also, by the way, makes complete sense since this isn't a PvP game, so maybe they need a less advanced, less strict form of anti-cheat in this case. But anyways, sure, this company is bad. But if you're saying that one company can be bad at it and another can be good at it, and you have no evidence that at this moment, because there are evidence not just for Unprotect, but for a lot of other services of having data breaches, you shouldn't complain about it, just this one, you know? It's not like that. Overall, bad stuff. We don't like it. We'd like other solutions. But it's not black and white. And presenting it with different excuses to say this is bad, just this one, Helldivers 2, very bad. But also, Apex Legends, super great. All EA games, I love them. Man, Activision Blizzard, great stuff. I love playing Valorant. No. Are you also going to start hugging Denuvo to sleep every night? A lot of the dangers here are what happens with it. And until something bad happens, if I've been willing to give the benefit of the doubt to much shadier companies like EA who install stuff on my PC, I don't see why I have to actively go out and boycott these guys who seem to mention things outwardly that are very important to me personally, like data protection laws. And this is why I also strongly dislike the nomenclature used online. I've been inundated with people replying to anything about Helldivers 2 with game installs spyware, game is malware, game installs a trojan on your PC. No, it doesn't. Just because something has the same types of permissions that viruses aspire to have does not make it a virus. It's the equivalent of saying that because a car can run over somebody and end their life, all cars are intended to be murder weapons. Now, if you want more information on this sort of stuff, this time on the DRM side, and I will one day have something very deep. I think it's a really interesting conversation to have. It's very important to the industry and beyond gaming as well. I'm going to leave a link in the description below to Mudahar, Some Ordinary Gamer's video talking about the Capcom situation, because it dives into a lot of this stuff and he does a good job at explaining how it works. He's also, as far as I know, more knowledgeable than I am. I have a lot of friends that work in this industry, but I am definitely not me specifically an expert. He, as far as I know, knows more. I also do not support that video because it's kind of clickbaity in a way I dislike, which is like, yes, Capcom is bad, when then he spends half the video talking about how it's all very gray. But I guess that's how YouTube works. You gotta have a big catchy headline for people to click on it, and then you gotta trick them into the actual nuance of the world. At the end of the day, the point is, this is a brilliant opportunity to educate people about how these things work and why they could actually be dangerous, why you should be afraid or why you shouldn't, and how these things actually function instead of just calling it spyware or calling it a virus. There is a lot of stuff to dislike about this, and there are very valid criticisms here about how a game like this should very probably use a different type of anti-cheat that is not this invasive. But that does not mean that this is objectively a dangerous thing to put on your computer. In my opinion, if you're just a general consumer, I don't think you should be very worried about playing Helldivers 2 and your security. But if you are somebody who is worried, just inform yourself first and know that you are completely in your right to be worried and to not play the game because of this. Just don't say that it's just this game. You really have to be careful with about 100 of the 100 most popular games, to be honest. So yeah, to be clear, I'm not saying you should embrace and love anti-cheat. How wonderful the Helldivers 2 developers are for blessing us with anti-cheat. I'm just saying be informed and be consistent about your opinions on certain things. Because otherwise, like a lot of people, it ends up looking like you just really want to dislike the cool new popular thing. The final very important complaint that goes on is server issues, because there are There have been server issues, progression issues, there have been constant crashes, disconnects, all sort of things, and some of it is attributed to the fact that the game was much more successful than they anticipated. So that's why I do cut them some slack, but still, as a consumer, it sucks that you buy a game and sometimes you just can't play it, especially when the game is this good. I really don't understand, like, if you play this game, how did the developers not know this was going to be a huge hit? Like, it's just like, immediately when you start playing it, you're like, damn, this is a good game. But anyway, it sucks. You can't play the game you paid for. That is definitely worthy of criticism. But I think we also should be humans and understand that not everything goes to plan or how you anticipated. And it's not as simple as, well, just in case it was huge, why didn't they have like 3 times the server infrastructure? It's like, do you ever go to the supermarket and buy 4 times the food just in case more people show up to dinner? And I do think it's fair to criticize them on this, but I also think it's worth talking about that this is them suffering from success, and they are being very transparent in doing everything in their power to solve these issues. Except when they banned people on Discord for typing F when the servers went down, but also is very important to mention, those were mods. That's not Arrowhead as far as I am aware. When it comes to a lot of the stuff, by the way, the developers have been very transparent, and specifically the CEO, who has talked about pay to win and said that they've worked really hard on making sure that none of the premium items are better than anything in the game, and the end result is that they're actually kind of worse. In a quote that's now doing the rounds of him saying the only pay to win thing you get is the revolver, which will make you win cool points. He has also said that he's sad that there's no weapon customization, and of course he's sad that the matchmaking is taking a while to be put up to speed with how many people want to play it. He's been very candid about how sorry they feel for the server issues, not just because of like, oh, hee hee ha ha, sorry, but we're laughing with our money all the way to the bank, but with a very heartfelt message. He said, sorry for ruining your game night. I know what it feels like, and time is our most precious resource. I really want us to do good and ensure that our lovely community can rely on us as a studio. That's real right there. At least to me. He talks about cut stuff, about the potential of weapon and armor customization, and he's talked about how they are working on the roadmap, but unfortunately, they didn't really get to the roadmap because after launch, we ended up with this whole server debacle. So I like these guys. They've also said that they're hiring more people because since the game has been such a success and it's going to need more infrastructure and more people pushing it forward, they are getting more developers to push up content pipelines and increase the plans for what they had on that roadmap to make better, bigger things come out sooner than they expected, thanks to the fact that the game is a success. Yes, imagine that. A game's success directly and immediately translating to jobs. Twice now. Once with Palworld, once with Helldivers 2. Even if it's in very small amounts, at least the industry isn't just collapsing from not being sustainable literally everywhere with the amount of people fired in video games last year and already in this year. So, hey, that's a W. That's a huge W. We get new developers to work on a game, new jobs in a studio that's making an awesome game. And I'm so happy because, man, I really want this game to keep growing and improve because I'm having the time of my life playing it, and I really want to customize my armor, and I really want to customize my weapons, and every time that I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about playing it. That's just the truth. But this is just how much misinformation and stupidity goes around. Be informed. Don't let people trick you. It's not as simple as it seems. All of these people saying, game is pay to win, bad. Game installs a Trojan, bad. No, it's not that simple. There are things that you can legitimately dislike about how these things work and not play the game. But do not listen to people who try and simplify complex topics into a tweet telling you game bad. Anyways, go out there, divers. Have some fun. Serve yourself a nice mug of liberty. Remember to like the video. Remember to subscribe. Scream Helldivers 2 quotes in the comments. I beg of you. And I'll see you again very soon.